Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Literature with Lydia podcast. I am so excited to have you here today. And in today's episode, I am going to be talking with you about my 26 books that I want to finish in 2026. Now, I started doing this in 2024, and in 2024, I successfully completed my list. Last year, I did not. I still had about 7 books left that I did not finish. And I was pretty disappointed about it because I feel like, just in last week's episode, I mentioned how, reading goals in general are hard for me, especially when they come to, a certain number of books that I want to read and that kind of thing. But I feel like when that's my only reading goal, it felt sad that I, did not complete it. However, the goal, we're going to keep it going. If I don't succeed, that's okay. But these are just the books that I am most excited to read this year. And some of them might sound pretty familiar. They're ones that, if you've been listening to the podcast, honestly, even once in the last few months, you would be like, Lydia, why have you not read that yet? And hey, I'm wondering the exact same thing. And that's exactly why it's on the list for this year. So let me get my list pulled up and we'll jump right in. The first book on my 26 in 2026 is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. To be 100% honest, I don't know what this book is about. You may see that is a theme, and that's because I really love going into books blindly as much as possible, but I'm very interested in this one. I've heard a lot of people say some really good things, and I also really want to watch the movie, but I need to read the book first. And so I'm excited to get to that one once I do. Also on my list is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I am not traditionally a classics reader, but I do have a handful on this list, and I'm excited to see what I think of this one. Again, I'm interested in the movie. I know the teasers and the advertisements for the movie have a lot of people feeling very controversial. They feel that maybe it's not going to do it justice, or they have a lot of things to say about it. As somebody who has not read the book, I can't really comment on that, but I am interested to see again what the book is about, and I want to expand my classics knowledge this year, and so I think this might be a good way to start. Also on my list is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a book about a woman who works, I think, at NASA, with astronauts in the 1980s. Taylor Jenkins Reid does incredible historical fiction. Some of her books are some of my all-time favorites when it comes to historical fiction and just story writing in general. She is so incredible at, and might I say once more, it's a crime that I haven't read this yet, but it will be read this year and very soon. Similarly, My Friends by Fredrik Backman. Fredrik Backman wrote A Man Called Uva, which is in my probably top 2 books of all time. I love that book so much, and it again is a crime that I have not read this one yet. I still don't know really what this one is about. I read the first 2 chapters back in the fall, but I had a lot of things going on, and so I never ended up finishing it. But I'm excited to start fresh with this one again very soon, because I have no doubt that I'm going to enjoy it. The final book on this list of books that it's shocking that I haven't read yet is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I love Carly Fortune's books. She is such a talented writer. Her books are so atmospheric and have such unique stories and plot lines that I feel like most romances don't follow. I love her writing so much. I've loved every book that she's written, and I have no doubt that I will like this one as well. And this follows characters from her first novel, Every Summer After, which I reread this summer in preparation to read this one, and then I just never ended up reading this one, but I can't wait to get to it once I do. Another book on my list is The Bright Years by Sarah, I want to say DeMoff. I again don't know a ton about this one, but I believe that it is literary fiction and has a lot of found family elements, which are some of my favorite stories, and so I'm looking forward to this one as well. I also would like to read Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I believe that this one is fantasy, and I've read V.E. Schwab before. The only thing I've read by her, though, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I know that this book is a lot different than that one, but I know so many people who love her writing and who love this book series, and so I'm really excited to see what I think of it. I would also love to read The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. I have seen the movie, so unfortunately I can't read the book first. That's not normally my style, but it happens sometimes. But because I loved the book so much, or the movie so much, I'm really looking forward to reading the book. And I believe it's actually a series, so I know that I would be able to get even more from that world too. I would also love to read the book Sipsworth by Simon Van Buie. I was interested in this book because I've seen a few of my fellow bookstagrammers talk about it, specifically Read with Jewel and Meg's Reading Room. Both of them love this book so much. I believe that Meg had the author on the podcast, or if not, she's at least released a few episodes specifically about the book. And it just sounds right up my alley. When I had Julia from Read with Jewel on the podcast during Bookmas, she told me even more about the book and how cozy it is and how it centers around this little mouse. And hey, I love animals so much. I love animals in books. And that really convinced me that it's a book that I need to prioritize this year. Another book that's cozy, that includes animals, and that is a favorite of Julia's, is Shady Hollow by Juno Black. It's a series about these woodland creatures, and if I remember correctly from the descriptions that I've heard, there's like some mysteries that take place, but they're all cozy, and again, the main characters are all animals. I'm obsessed already. It's crazy that I haven't read it yet, and the cover is probably one of my favorites that I've ever seen. A book that is kind of out of my comfort zone that I would like to read this year is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I've heard non-stop good things, and again, this one is fantasy. It might even lean like sci-fi, but maybe I'm making that up. Again, couldn't tell you what it's about. The cover looks really cool, and again, I just live so much by people's reviews, and if people who read similar books to me or tend to like books that I like are recommending a book, I'm gonna want to read it whether I know what it's about or not, and that's definitely the case with this one. Another book that would fall in the same category as that is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. Again, don't know much. I think it is fantasy, but I've heard so many good things, and I have also seen some little snippets of text from the book, and it intrigued me immediately. One book that I am dying to read this year is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. She wrote the Letters of Enchantment series, which is Divine Rivals, and what's the second one? Divine Rivals. I cannot think of what the second one is titled, but I loved both of them, gave both of them 5 stars. An incredible duology. Wild Reverence is a sort of prequel that follows some of the gods from the duology, and I am so intrigued to see what that one is about, and I will be doing so, hopefully, very soon. I do want to reread the duology first because it's been a few years, but I'm very much so looking forward to being back in her writing because it is so beautiful. Another classic I would like to read this year is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I love The Phantom of the Opera musical. I actually got to see The Phantom of the Opera, the musical, when I was in London a few years ago, and I saw it at Her Majesty's Theatre, exactly where it first was ever done as a musical, which was really cool. And I am so fascinated to get to know even more of the details, kind of dive deeper into the story as it was originally created. One more book out of my comfort zone is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I do not typically read sci-fi. It is, again, out of my comfort zone. I always feel scared that I won't feel smart enough or that I just won't understand it. And so I tend to stay away from books like that, but so many people talk about how incredible this series is, and so I want to see more about it for myself. Next up, we have The Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O'Clover. First of all, last name O'Clover is adorable. Also, this cover is so stunning, and essentially I believe that this is like a house share situation, like a bunch of people live in this house, and they all have recently gone through heartbreak, and so I think there's a lot of found family and a lot of like connections that are made, so I'm really excited to see how I feel about this one. Another book that went viral probably around this time last year is Passion Project by London Sperry. I don't know a ton about this one. I feel like I did at one time, but again, it's been a while since like it really had its moment on social media, but I believe it is a book that follows some of the trends that I love in a romance, and that's that it feels more literary fiction with a subplot of romance, and so I'm really excited to see what I think about that one as well. Next up in the fantasy genre is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. I started this book a few years back, and I just ended up not finishing it, not for disliking it, but I just was reading other things at the time, and I'm so excited to finish this one. It's another duology, and I think that it will be very palatable. I don't know. I just think it will be an easy fantasy for me to follow based on what I've read so far. Another historical fiction that I would like to read is The Book Club for Troublesome Women, which is by Marie Bodswick. I don't know a ton about this. I have read the back of the book, but I believe it's a bunch of women during maybe like the 1960s who kind of come together and have their own book club, and I think probably there is some like social commentary about like women's rights and that kind of thing, and I love that in a book. I'm hoping for lessons in chemistry vibes, and so we'll see how that one turns out. I'd also love to read Go as a River by Shelley Reed. I, again, don't know a ton about this one, but I do believe it is historical fiction, and I will never say no to that. Probably the book that I am most nervous for on my 26 in 2026 is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. The reason I'm so nervous for this is I've heard so many people say that this book is really dark, really intense, again, quite darker than the way the musical portrays it, but I fell in love with the musical last year, and so I just feel like it's time and I need to read it, and I'm really interested to see what I think. It is a series, and this is just the first book. I don't know if everything that happens in Wicked is contained in the first book or if I would need to read the whole series, but I guess I'll find out eventually this year. Another book I would love to read is The Library of Borrowed Hearts by Lucy Gilmore. My friend read this book last year, and it was her favorite book of the year. I'm really excited to read it. I've seen it on Hoopla for a while, so I plan to read it there, but I believe the two main characters communicate with each other in the margins of the books that they read at the library, which is so adorable, and really excited to see even just like what the pages look like. I had one of my friends give me a book to add, and she asked me to add The Right Move by Liz Tomford. I've heard so many people love this book series so much. I may first read the first book, which is, well, now I can't think of what it's called. I might still read the first book. I know it's kind of controversial again. A lot of people prefer to skip it, but we'll see. I'm at least going to read the second one this year. I also asked Katie Wittrick to help me add a book, and she asked me to add Queen of Shadows. It's the next book in the Throne of Glass series, the next one that I have to read. I am excited, and I know so many people whose favorite book of this series is that one, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how I feel about it. I also asked Madeline to help me pick a book, and she chose Shop Girls by Jessica Anya Blau. This is another like coming of age, young adult historical fiction book, and I loved her first book, Mary Jane, so I can't wait to dive into this one too. The final book on my list is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. Again, I don't really know what this one is about, but I've seen so many people talking about it recently. And actually, my book club picked it to read for the month of January, so it will be read sometime in the next week. Okay, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I am so excited for this list. I feel like I curated it well. I got a lot of book recommendations from some of my best book friends, and so I'm excited to see what I think. But if there are any that you think I need to read sooner than others, please let me know. If you have any that are on your list that are the same, let me know that too. But thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in next week's episode. Bye!